Oh, we're
Yeah.
on.
Oh, no, I hope we're not recording. Welcome to Fast Politics, Rick Wilson.
Hey, Molly Jong-Fast, you did great on Bill Maher.
Thank you. I come back victorious from my 42 hours in California. Let's talk about the military state that is the District of Columbia. The videos I have seen, I'm not laughing because it's
No, no,
authoritarianism, but I'm telling you, the videos I have seen from that are, I do not think Democrats who cannot get their shit together could make better ads than
no,
what I'm seeing.
that you are exactly correct. They are being given every day in Washington, DC, a golden gift of the authoritarian cosplay bullshit that these guys are executing on, and I mean, they're making traffic stops. They're not, as you and I talked about, as you pointed out,
Checkpoints, checkpoints
this is not in
are
the
legal.
in
It's
the
not legal.
seething, like, crime-ridden city. This is in Georgetown and DuPont
Yeah,
Circle and Foggy
yeah.
Bottom,
Near
and
the
yet
Four Seasons.
right,
Yeah,
yeah, the desperate criminality that defines the M Street corridor, you know,
right, right. A
I
$40 hamburger is not a crime,
right,
at
it's an
least not
outrage, but
yet.
it's not a crime.
Crime, that's right. No, I mean, it is to watch it is incredible. Saw a woman who videos ICE raids getting
Mhm.
beaten
Yeah,
and being left at being they had to call an ambulance for her. What I am so struck by, and I think we want, it's both a very dark time in American life because a lot of the institutions we hoped would protect us, like billionaires, those guys turn out to suck. In case you're wondering,
yeah, pretty much
yeah, they suck. And people who own television companies also,
well,
but
and Jeff Bezos, who has become sort of the house mouthpiece now, they've
right.
become like a gentry version of Breitbart for DC.
Yeah, and that crew has not been great, but we have seen some amazing things, and I wanna talk about the hoagie guy.
Yes, the hero America needs.
Pink
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 shirt,
shirt,
rocking
Chucks
the hoagie.
used to work at the DOJ,
Yep.
chucks a hoagie at is he ICE? Who even knows what this,
It's impossible to
military guy
tell.
was because he's wearing a mask and a
Yeah,
whatever.
and no
Chucks
ID.
Right. Well, why would he? Chucks a hoagie at him. He's now being tried for felony
Right.
because Judge Box of Wine does not like it when people throw food. Discuss.
I might go back once again to there have been 2 terrorist attacks in DC in our lifetime of any si one was on 9/11 and one was on January 6th. Where was all this concern for state and federal and local police on January 6th? It didn't exist.
When they were
Um,
police and not whatever this is.
right, but this idea that DC is so out of control, crime is down in DC, it's all cosplay, it's all Trump showmanship bullshit. And, we've gotta realize as a people that that nothing that's going on in DC right now is with all these deployments is real, except for he wants to put cops at, put the DC cops under his control and then Pam Bondi's control. He wants to put these troops in the street, not because there's crime in DC, but because every reporter in DC lives in the neighborhoods where he's putting the cops or putting these forces. So they'll report on it, they'll see it, they'll be worried about it, they'll freak out about it. They'll talk about how Trump's being an authoritarian madman, which he is, but he knows this is like a symbolically powerful gesture on his part for the media's brain in DC. I think
You
it's
want m
hot garbage, but there you go.
you want my hottest take?
Fire away.
I think that this is just like Trump world's war on anti-Semitism, right? It's a
Sure,
fake
100%.
thing to control something else. So
Right.
he says he's punishing Colombia for being anti-Semitic. He's punishing. He doesn't give a fuck about anti-Semitism. He's
Fuck no.
punishing Colombia
Because they didn't let
because
weirdo in.
whatever or whatever for whatever reason because he knows that attacking education is part of the playbook
Yeah,
and
it's part of the base.
it's sort of the Viktor Orban school of authoritarianism. I mean, that's what this is about. This is never about what they say it's about.
Cor
And I think, yeah. And one of the
Correct.
things go on. One of the
Yeah,
things Rick Wilson said to me before I went on when we were talking on the phone before I went on Bill Maher and you were giving me a little advice, was you said this thing which I totally stole, of course, as well I should have, which is that no one is pro-crime. There is
right,
no pro-crime caucus.
right. There's yeah, there's no murder coalition in this country.
Right.
There's no "let's have the streets run red with blood" movement in this country, and sometimes the Democrats have gotten themselves tripped up in that shit,
Right.
where the right has been able to demonize it or whatever, but I think it's a lot harder in DC because if you travel to DC, if you go to the city of Washington, DC, there is about a 10 square block area in one part of the city that's really dangerous. The rest of it is a very expensive place. You know, it's a
Right.
city where on U Street you can pay $40, as you said, for a hamburger or
Yes.
$25 for a fucking smoothie or $100 for
Yeah.
a Pilates class. It's not exactly Mogadishu. So it is trying to put the Democrats in a dumb frame, but the correct frame is to keep saying, a, this is bullshit, and B, you're just trying to distract from Epstein. Where's the fucking file, Donald?
Right, right. Well, it is a real question, the Epstein, and this is something we talked about on Mar, but it's also something that I'm curious about. Epstein has so Pam Bondi says I have the file on my desk, right?
Right.
She what who knows what that was? I mean, there are thousands of pages of paper. It could be anything. But
Tens of thousands. Yeah, it's crazy.
but why play it up if you are then gonna like, do you think he just was playing it up because he was not paying attention? What do you think the thinking there was?
They recognize that the Epstein files, let's not even call it files in particular, the corpus of all this Epstein stuff that the DOJ
Right,
had, I think Trump legitimately forgot a lot of that stuff from the 90s and 2000s.
right,
Like, he doesn't really remember what's in it. He doesn't really know what's in it.
right.
And so when they put 1,000 FBI agents looking through those files,
And they found his
and they
name
started
a
finding
bunch of
his name
times.
popping up over and over and over
Right.
again, they had a breakdown. They had a kind of freak out, and I think that freak out is still going on. I think so much of the shit we've been seeing, the desperate summit yesterday or this weekend in
Yeah, that summit did
Alaska.
not by the way, the fact that, like, it was like, "We're gonna have a summit to bring peace to Ukraine because that's what everyone cares about because I'm gonna win the Nobel Peace Prize."
The idea of Trump winning anything but the Darwin Award at this point is just like
Oh,
the
like
pale of
but
ludicrous.
talk this through with me. I mean,
Yeah.
so everyone so now they went to Alaska. Putin was like, "Fuck you," basically, right? We're
Oh,
not like
yeah.
he's not like he could
It's
have
like, "Roll out that carpet for me, bitch, and then I'm gonna tell
right.
you to fuck yourself."
I mean, he could have like said, "Well, we'll do a ceasefire," and then ignored it, which is typical
Which is
Putin. But he
would
was
be very on brand for Putin.
right. But instead, he was like, "No, we're not even going to do a ceasefire. Like, discuss."
Putin, it thinks in 100-year interval timing versus Trump thinking in next news cycle timing.
Right.
Putin wants to reassemble the old Soviet empire as Greater Russia. He
Right.
wants to Russify,
Right.
Ukraine and Eastern Europe. Trump wants, as you said, to get a Nobel Peace Prize. Trump wants
Right.
to get to tomorrow without having to look at the Epstein stuff. And unfortunately for him, the Epstein stuff has become such a dominant theme, and such a dominant motivator for all his political behavior that he made this desperate hurry up kind of rush up to Alaska to meet Putin, to pretend he was going to negotiate with this guy. And Putin absolutely just rang his frickin' he just walked all over him. And you could even see it in Trump when he walked back to the plane, the schlump. We gets
Yeah.
off the plane, looks
Yeah.
like
Not
his
happy.
dog has died. He's been off Truth Social for the most of the weekend.
Yeah.
It was a disaster. There's no
Yeah.
spinning it. It's unspinnable. You can't spin this thing and go, "Yeah, this had some real upsides for Donald."
So, what do you think? I what do you think happened in that? Because they were alone in the car
Right.
and with a translator, not with, I think, no
Putin speaks
translator.
English. Putin speaks
Right.
English.
Right.
His
There,
English is
but
fine.
so
Um,
he's in the car. They're together, then they get out, and I think what I think is so interesting is everyone is trying to trying to keep them from being alone together, right? You got Marco, you got right? Everyone's like,
Witkoff,
"Let's do
Essent.
trilateral," right?
Right.
And he's like, "No, I'll just be alone with Putin." And so they get in the car. Yeah, talk us through
They
this.
get in the Beast. the president's
Right.
limousine. God
Just the
knows
2
what
of
was said
them.
in the Beast. God knows.
Right.
Donald, you're here. Donald Fedorovich, you're here for quarterly performance review.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Yeah.
God knows what Trump said in the car. But when they got into the substantive meetings, it was obvious that they said,
He had
we'd
said
like to
something.
accomplish these minimal things. I don't think they were
Right.
pushing him all that hard. And his response was basically, no, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And when he gets out into I found this fascinating, big breach of diplomatic protocol. The host nation president speaks first. Trump
Right.
lets Putin go first. Putin talks about 10 to 1 to what Trump says in that press conference. And Putin goes out and just says, we have to address the historical claims about Ukraine, which is his
Which
code for,
we
I
want
want
we want
Ukraine.
crime
I am
back.
going
Yeah.
to eat all of it. And
Yeah.
it's just and look, you saw the clownish response today, and we're recording this on Sunday. You saw a clownish response on Sunday from Marco Rubio, who on Face the Nation is there, obviously just wants to die
Yeah,
inside
he looks like he's so
because he can't
unhappy.
explain what Trump wants. He can't violate what Trump said to Putin because
Right.
Trump wants to get this as the predicate for a Nobel Peace Prize, which is never
Right.
coming.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah.
he could buy Norway, and it's still
Yeah.
not gonna come.
He'd have to buy all the Norwegians.
He'd have to buy everybody involved in everything about Norway, and their delicious, pickled
Pickled
fishes and
fish.
all the
Pickled
things.
fish, baby.
Pickled
Pickled
fish.
fish.
Lutefisk.
So yeah, it strikes me that there is no world in which this doesn't. So, I mean, I think the most likely scenario here, and I know we never want to predict the future, but since it's Trump, things can only go sort of one of two ways.
Right.
I think the most likely scenario here is that they have another meeting. All these Europeans are coming to try to keep him from literally
Right.
all the Europeans are coming here. The heads of all these European countries are coming to United States to try to protect Zelensky from Trump.
Correct. And and
Right?
and look, the last time and right now you've seen the White House has been reduced because all these European leaders are coming. They're now saying, "If he doesn't wear a suit, he can't come in the White House."
Is that what they
Yeah,
said?
they're saying that this afternoon. So he'll wear a fucking suit
It's
and
ridiculous.
yeah, ridiculous. But that's how little Trump has now. This is how little they got out of that summit. They're back to trying to please the online social media, Twitter, MAGA crowd
Right.
with, "Oh, we made him wear a suit. That's a real concession."
I'm telling you, those polling. Let's do a minute on the polling. So
Sure.
we haven't seen a ton of polls, and but clearly the polls that I'm seeing, everyone who voted for him because he made a bunch of sneakers and
Yep.
did some UFC fights, like maybe
Right.
not all those people are gone, but he's certainly there. He's hemorrhaging them quickly.
Oh, Molly, listen, my son, who is a very smart pollster, we were talking about
Right.
this on Friday, and he's been going through all these demographics that after the election, MAGA said, and a lot of the national media, let's be fair, a lot of
Right.
mainstream media said, well, Trump now has won young voters and they're Republicans now. He's won Hispanic voters, they're Republicans now. He's won young African American men, they're Republican. No, they're not.
Right.
They're
No, they're not.
fleeing from Trump. His approval ratings among young African Americans now at 8 bin
Well,
Laden
why?
has higher approval numbers. I mean, he has managed to collapse another big area of this. A lot of rural agriculture voters are now seeing the impact of losing all their workers,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
bailing on him. He's losing MAGA parts of the coalition, not just the people that voted for him in 2024. He's losing parts of his base now as well.
Like who? Like what?
It's like those rural voters. A lot of those rural ag voters are realizing, "Oh, shit. Donald Trump has killed our workforce, and now our costs are skyrocketing." He's losing the suburban mommy vote now because they
Yeah.
are on the front lines of managing households. They're the ones who are standing in line at Walmart or Target and going, "The fuck is this?" When
Yeah.
they get a receipt. They're this chain of mistakes he's made
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
adding up and adding up and adding up. And that chain of mistakes is increasingly, even though the Democratic Party's brand sucks, the intention to vote for Democrats now is growing. We're seeing it
That's
grow. If I may quote a certain famous quote, at levels no one's seen before. And Nothing he's doing is reversing this trend right now. Could Democrats blow it? Sure, they have an infinite capacity to fuck it up. But
Right.
right now, Donald Trump is losing his newfound gains. And those gains, in part, were a lot of the people that they expected would be part of a permanent coalition going forward, and they're just not. They've chosen not to remain.
So I want you to talk for it about the redistricting, what's
Sure.
happening in Texas. So August 19th is my birthday.
Yes, it is.
And it is also the day I see Rick writing it down. No, I'm just kidding. So it is also the day that the special session, the first special session ends.
Right.
So and then Democrats,
That's all
Texas,
that great. They've passed all that flood relief. Oh,
right,
wait,
they
they
never
haven't.
passed that. And they, by the way, they don't need a special session to pass flood relief. In
No.
case you're wondering, Ken Paxton, Greg Abbott, full of shit.
Full of shit.
So right,
Chock full.
exactly. So
Up to here.
Abbott says he will that now just immediately call another session. We are seeing some anxiety from members of the House that if these districts get redrawn, people like Mike Lawler, Nicola Lota, all, these Republicans, Elise Stefanik, will
She's
all
is now gonna run for governor of New York,
right,
which
right.
which is gonna put a lot of people in a tough spot because Kathy Hochul well, a lot of people are not very sympathetic to Kathy Hochul, but if it's Elise Stefanik versus Kathy Hochul, that is a no-brainer.
Right, I think that'll be a good but so let's talk about the redistricting.
Yeah, look,
What are the vibes?
the vibe's very simple. You've got Gavin Newsom, you've got Pritzker, you've got Hochul, and now you're starting to get a couple of other Democratic governors putting their noses out.
Can we have a minute on Gavin Newsom? Because I want you to talk about this. His social media has become, you know, I yes. Okay, so Gavin Newsom is now
God tier
right,
social
he is
media.
now tweeting really mean stuff about everyone
In the
in
language and
all
voice of
caps,
Trump in all
in the
caps,
right, in all caps.
his
So
team is top of the pile.
but
Just
it's interesting to me for 2 seconds here because Cuomo
yeah.
is also doing that, and it's creepy as hell.
Right, with Cuomo, trying to, call Mamdami's son and sport and shit like that, it just comes across as, weird, but
Really weird,
but
right?
look, I mean,
But
it's
Newsom is killing it with the
you've
weird
gotta
social
do if you're
angry.
gonna do this transgressive stuff,
Yeah.
you've gotta do it in a way New York Magazine profiled one of my ads last weekend about the Trump Not Like Us ad we did, and they were a little freaked out about it, but it's like, "Oh my god, this is actually how you do transgression." He's doing the transgression right. He's doing it in a way that psychologically will affect the bad guys. He's
You
doing it in a way that breaks the rules for a good reason, not just breaking the rules like Trump breaks the rules just to burn everything down. They're
right,
breaking the rules to show people there are ways that you have to fight in this modern era. We don't live in the old world where things are settled on the debate stage or with policy
right.
papers. We live in a world where you better be freaking great at social media if you're gonna run for
Yeah,
president.
yeah. I think that's right. And Newsom has
And in that
been
regard, I'm announcing
and Newsom is deeply disliked by a lot of
sure.
progressives, but he has very good hair, and his social media is really
And
good.
you know what else? You know what else? He's and I'm not a fanboy, but you know what
Right.
else he's doing? He's fighting.
Yeah,
He
which
went out
is
did a press conference on Friday, and he said to me or Thursday, and he said to Texas, "If you do this, we're about to take more than you're gonna add."
do you think, by the way, do you think that works on Texas?
No, it doesn't psychologically change Abbott at all. Abbott wants to
Right,
run for president. If he doesn't
right,
do what Trump wants, Trump will say, "Weak Greg Abbott couldn't stand up for me."
right. Yeah. W
Yes, that joke was
uh,
as bad as you thought, everybody, because that
well,
is exactly what Trump would fucking do
I like that you did it
in
as
Trump's
my
voice.
George W. Bush. No, that was W.
No, that wasn't W.
Uh,
No, Molly, that wasn't W. Now, come on. Come on, Molly. You know better than that.
Rick Wilson, will you come back?
Absolutely.